Steve Birch. Christy Cottle. You're Christy Cottle?
Yes. I stand here before you today as a mom of two amazing children.
Please state your name for the record.
Christy Cottle. Almost 3 years ago, my life changed when my 13-year-old son shared with me that he was gay. I remember as I held him sobbing in my arms, the terror I felt for my beautiful son's life. News stories came flooding through my head of suicides, bullying, rape, rejection, and so on. What was I supposed to do, and how would I keep him safe? Now, I know this is a worry for many parents, but for affirming parents of an LGBT child, those fears increase tenfold. This is not a safe world for them yet. There is something seriously wrong that I'm standing here before you in 2015 and begging for my child's safety and basic human rights. And there is something not right about a mother of an LGBT child knowing that their child carries such a burden and fear for their safety. My son had suicidal ideations at a very young age. He suffered in silence for years and carried a heavy burden that no child should have to bear. He had been told for years by my religion and others that he was an abomination and less than other human beings. I had grown up as a Mormon and had been raising my children in that religion. There is no room for my son in the LDS Church unless he chooses to stay celibate and live a life without companionship. There's no room for families that affirm their children in their authenticity, and it is not a safe place for LGBT children and families. I don't want to change my son and thank him often for living boldly amidst the potential repercussions from community, family, and friends. He has changed my family and I forever, and for the better. Our hearts have been open and we have made friends with some of the most amazing people. He's perfect, just the way he was created, and any mom should feel lucky to get to raise an LGBT child. My sweet son is now 16 years old, and I just want to take one more moment to brag about him. He's a junior.
You got about 30 seconds.
Yep, I'll get through it. And a 4.0 student. I have to brag for a second. He won state in 2014 for tenor vocals. He's an amazing makeup artist and sought after by his young friends and adults. He has starred in several shows with Music Theater of Idaho. He volunteers with Genesis Service Dogs as a puppy raiser, which means he takes a puppy with him to school every day and to other activities, and he works hard to socialize them and train them and also cleans up after them, and we'll donate him, the puppy, to somebody with needs in the future. He has a heart of gold and is loved and respected by his peers and adults alike. And best of all, he's not afraid to still hug his mom in public. I'm here as a mom to stand for my son and many other beautiful souls I call friends. I will no longer stand by and be silent while watching the LGBT community be marginalized and bullied. I'm here as an Idaho citizen to plea for legislation that will protect my son from the injustices that so many have endured, to take a stand for the silent, and ask for the civil rights of these individuals be ensured by our lawmakers. I cannot accept any less, and what mom would. Thank
Questions?
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jamie Lou Delaban. Francisco Salinas. Mark McGreer. Rachel Rao. April Hay will follow. Joey Schuler. Joey Schuler. And can't tell it. Marin Axtell. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, committee members, my name is April Hoy. I've been a resident of Boise since I was a small child. I'm a graduate of Boise State University, and I'm bisexual, and I'm here today to urge you to support this bill. Throughout these 2 days of testimony, many of those in opposition to this bill have asked why businesses should be required to provide goods, services, or employment to individuals that they find distasteful. Businesses should be required to treat customers equally, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity, for the same reason they are required to treat customers equally, regardless of their race, sex, or religion. Here in Boise, I may have several alternatives if a business decides to refuse me service because I'm bisexual. But there are many parts of the state where that is not the case. In Idaho's many small towns and large, sparsely populated areas, there may not be more than one bakery to choose from. There may not be more than one grocery store within practical distance. There may not be another doctor's office to go to if a gay man or a trans woman is turned away from the nearest one. Even where other options are available, using public accommodations should not require gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, or for that matter, straight Idahoans to brace themselves for the possibility that they will be humiliated and have their day disrupted by denial of service, by being told, "We don't serve your kind here." I'd like to finish with a note on religious freedom. Adding the words will not impinge upon the religious freedom of those with religious objections to people like me, any more than the Civil Rights Act impinged upon the religious freedom of those with religious objections to racial integration. People are still free to believe what they wish. They can gather for worship, they can preach their beliefs, they can even practice discrimination when it comes to church hirings and the provision of church services. What they can't do with regard to race and should not be allowed to do with regard to sexual orientation and gender identity is discriminate against people outside of that private religious realm, to tread upon the dignity of people who just want to buy a cake or see a doctor. Thank you. I'll stand for questions.
Questions? Thank you. Rachel?
Sorry, the stupid cord keeps getting tangled up. Okay, my name is Rachel, Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Rachel Rowie. You can either spell it or you can say it, you can't do both. I have resided in both Ada County and Canyon County over the last 11 years. I've been represented by both Representative Batt and Representative Crane over this period of time. I'm a straight wife, mother, grandmother, and petroleum engineer with many other hats. I was just wanted to share, I had about 6 examples, and I'm only going to pick a couple now for time. We had a roommate living here in Boise last summer, that was fired from a local restaurant. Of course, they didn't give him a reason, but they had kept telling him to stop talking about being gay and about being HIV positive. So it does happen. I lived in an apartment complex at one point in Nampa, and when I was first going in there, they take your driver's license and put it on the desk. And as we're walking around the complex, she's saying, "Well, really, I didn't really need to take your driver's license, but we do because it's just policy." And she started talking about the ways that she said that we don't discriminate, but we want to know the character of people, and that's why we walk around with you and discuss these questions. And so pretty much what she had said was that they would, she didn't put it in so many words, but it's just like if, she kind of wanted to know if I was married or if I was single or if I had a boyfriend or, that sort of thing. And so in that complex, there were no gay people that I knew or lesbians. And I think that it was because of that. My daughter had a friend in high school who ended up quitting school because she was perceived to be gay, perceived to be a lesbian, and she wasn't. But the harassment was so bad, she quit school and never graduated from high school. Those are the only examples I'm going to use right now.
You have about 30 seconds.
Oh, good. But on the vote for this, you would be voting to send it to the floor. You wouldn't be voting actually for the bill. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows that you can send this to the floor for more discussion, and then if you truly didn't believe in it, not have to vote for the bill. Thank you.
Questions? Thank you. Joey Schuler? And the name we have been looking for, Marin Axel. You're the person we've been looking for
Oh, good, I'm
for
here.
3 days.
My name is Marin Axel. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for allowing us to speak on this issue. I stand before you in support of House Bill 2, in support of the LGBT community, and especially in support of my baby sister. She is currently studying economics at ISU. Really, she's not a baby anymore, but she could not attend today. She's a brilliant student and a beautiful, proud, vibrant person. Any college, any master's program, any city, any state, any community would be lucky to count her bright and spirited soul as one of its members. But she will not be staying in Boise or in Idaho, our birthplace. And neither will many of her her friends who are bright young members of the LGBT community. You are losing brilliant minds, engineers, doctors, musicians, artists, creators, and innovators, because they do not feel safe here. I ask you to vote yes on House Bill 2 to preserve and protect the vibrant communities in Idaho. Do not lose people full of beauty, talent, and innovation to hate. Add me, add my beautiful baby sister, add the words. Please vote yes. Thank you. I stand for questions.
Questions? Thank you. We've come to a point where all of the persons that have signed up to testify have been called on to testify. We can't find you on any lists that were signed up. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the record here. We'll look for a moment to see if there are any. Give us your names again. Jill Taylor. You did not sign up to testify. You did not indicate on the paper that you wanted to testify. It's pretty plain that the form required you to sign up that you desired to testify. If you didn't check the box, we're sorry about that, but you didn't make that indication. Another name?
Kibbe, K-I-B-B-E,
Joseph Kibbe.
I believe he's on the same page I was on.
The one with Nicole. Someone crossed your name out entirely.
Chairman, he stood yesterday and you promised him to stay. The other people, remember? Testify. All in front of us.
Here's what we're going to do. We've plowed this ground now for 3 days. We'll give you an opportunity to come to the podium. Those of you who think you signed up, state your name, state your position on this. We've probably heard an awful lot of story. We may have heard your story. But please, in the interest of time, make that possible so we can wrap that up. If you desire to do that, come forward. State your name, what your position is.
My name is Laura Doty. I am for House Bill number 2, I was employed as a probation officer with Power County. I was fired when they found out that I was a lesbian. I called the Idaho Human Rights Commission. They told me they could not do anything because I did not fulfill a protected status. If I called them today, they would tell me the same thing. I was a decorated police officer in Michigan. I moved to Idaho. I worked as a probation officer, and I was fired for no reason more than that I was a lesbian. I think that House Bill number 2 needs to be passed. This needs to be taken care of. I was completely dehumanized. House Bill 2 says I am a human. I am a human. Please pass this bill. Find it in your hearts. I can't imagine your positions, but please find it in your hearts to protect people like me who do nothing but want to work and be protected. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Chris Einhorn. I will submit the entire thing in writing out.
Please do so.
With one paragraph, please. Monday, when I was listening to testimony against this bill, I was pained to hear a number of fellow Idahoans refer to me and other tax-paying, voting, God-fearing, outdoors-loving, lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgendered Idahoans as animals, pedophiles, deserving of discrimination, and consistently less than. I would like to point out that these sorts of testimonies are precisely why we do need these words added. I do not deserve discrimination. None of us are less than. Please add the words.
Thank you. Any others? State your name for the record.
My name is Ryan Gregg. I'm a resident of Boise, and I served as the student body president at Boise State for 2 years, and I just wanted to let you know something that I hadn't heard someone mention. The three universities in our state, each student government collectively, did pass resolutions in support of adding the words, so I wanted you to be aware of that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any others?
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Kibbe, and I'm a Nampa, Idaho resident. And I'm a 36-year-old community leader here, and I'm a 15-year financial professional lending to farmers and ranchers here in the state of Idaho. And I want you to know that growing up in Idaho was not by any means an easy task, and I was frequently targeted for harassment and violence, and still today I fear for my safety. I fear for the safety of myself, and I fear for the safety of my friends. This fear is sustained by an environment that allows violence and intolerance against gay and transgender people. And I think back to myself and my earliest childhood friend, Joel, attending high school at Boise High in our senior year in 1997. We were the typical all-American high school kids, good grades, active in school and sports, and looking forward to a bright future that included attending Boise State University, studying economics, and entering the workforce as young adults. All the success anyone could wish for their children and themselves, but doing so in danger of constant harm simply because we were gay. In February of 1997, in a heinous and tragic act of violence, Joel and I were savagely beaten and bloodied in an alley less than 3 blocks from where I stand now at this podium. Taking the first blow to the head, I land on the sidewalk, cracking my head open, and the repeated kicks began as I watched the individual I cared for have his head bashed into the side of a dumpster and then beaten repeatedly with a baseball bat to the point that his ribs bust apart. Less than 2 weeks after that, on a cold morning, much like this morning was, I find Joel hanging lifeless and dead from a tree in his backyard, cold and his eyes fixed wide open and black. Death, nothing more than death, and his young life cut short simply because he was not safe in his home, his schools, or his community, and he was unable to cope with the pain. And suddenly I found myself standing alone in a life without someone that had always been by my side.
Would you please wrap it up?
Yes. I still often think about how his talents and abilities would have contributed to our local communities, to our state, and how Joel would stand here be speaking to the committee today. And I want you to see me And I want you to think of me, see me as an individual who lost his best friends to violence, a lack of hope. And I want you to include me and my friends that have stood before you today and offered and shared that same message that we lack hope. Please, I implore you, help us by adding the words sexual orientation and gender identity to protect me and others that have stood before you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any others? I don't see anyone. Thank you, everyone, for participating. This has been a very arduous process. We've done now close to 21 hours of testimony taking on this piece of legislation. Several hundred have testified. We do appreciate your participation in the process, and we do sincerely want to thank you for being here. What will happen is we will convene tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. In this room. We will be in this room tomorrow at 8 a.m. and where we will allow a closing statement from the sponsors of the bill, and then we will have a debate on and a vote on the bill. So with that, until 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll stand adjourned.